This afternoon again, and I'll call this meeting to order. I would like to thank each and every one of you who has joined in. I know it's always a challenge. It's always a challenge in Kid Island as it relates to the internet service. So I'm sure persons are doing their best to log in, and they will do so within due time. Without further ado, bow in reverence for the invocation to the great architect of this universe. Give you thanks and praise. Thank you for this day that you have made. We ask that you continue to guide us and keep us and protect us as we go through our life journey, trying to be of best assistance in any which way possible. Heavenly Father, we ask that you join us within this meeting and be present as we, as fellow Rotarians, do within our powers to live up to our obligation. I pray this prayer in no other name than Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
And relax, Rotarians and guests, to raise your glass with me. Toast to the Queen and to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
To the Queen and the Commonwealth of the
Bahamas.
Oh, again, welcome. I want you to feel relaxed. It is going to be an exciting meeting. We have a very special guest, and he's going to bring to us some very, very valuable information. As you all aware, um, one of our projects has to do as relates to supplying residents with water. So we all get up and excited for what the guest speaker is gonna bring this afternoon. Um, but I want to welcome each and every one of you. At this time, I want to give space for those, anyone first time visitors. Just say hello. You can unmute your mic. Say hello to us at this time. There being no first time visitors. Uh, Rotarians in the house, Mother Club or elsewhere. Do shout and give us a little hello. Say who you are.
Brian and Michelle Moody, past presidents of East Nassau Club, soon to be Cat Island Club.
Great.
I love
Great.
that song, the Big Cat Island Club part. Yes. Anyone
Hi,
else?
Rotarian Catherine Russell from the Rotary Club of Nassau. Always good to be in your meetings.
Awesome, awesome. We're always glad to have you.
Thank you.
Any other fellow Rotarians out there?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
if you,
Dana Marie Bethel from Rotary Club Nassau. Hi again.
hi again, Marie. Glad that you're chiming in. We have any guests that invited, any fellow Rotarians invited you? Do state your name and state who Rotarian invited you. Any guests? Uh, I see Ms. Armstrong is on. Invited guest of mine. She is
Present.
one. Yes, Ms. Armstrong, how you doing? She wants to
I'm
be
fine, thank you.
she wants to be a Rotarian of this awesome satellite club. We have received her application and the process has commenced. So thank you, Ms. Armstrong, for joining in this afternoon with us. Once again, do feel welcome. At this time, I would like to make mention, apologies for Madam Secretary. She is out at the time. She's out of the country actually, so she's unable to log on onto this afternoon's meeting. She sends her apologies. Um, um, Hence, we will skip the secretary report and we will move along to our treasurer report. Madam Treasurer, Leticia. Uh, I think she's having. She did mention that she was.
Hi, good
Okay, there you go.
evening. Just very briefly, just reminding our members to make their usual contributions toward the club. To
Your mic is muted. Okay. Short and sweet, members. Make your
Yeah,
contributions.
apologies. Yes, just encouraging members to make their regular contributions. As stated in the last meeting, we just had one deposit made into our account for $500, which would have represented funds collected for monthly contributions of members and toward T-shirts. Okay, but that is basically it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Short and sweet, right to the point. So I do encourage you, as the treasurer said, as relates to your contribution. Just one or two updates. Our face-to-face would be on the 31st of this month. Location to be announced. Okay. Also, we getting back on schedule as relates to the pen project. The pen has arrived on the island. It's in my possession, and we have to go at Nadia Thompson home to complete the paint work there, and then head to the northern part of the island to the other two homes. So we had a little delay, a little snag, but we're back on track, hoping that the weather permits us, and we will go to those various homes to complete our paint project. Look, dates will be posted into our WhatsApp group. So do look out for those dates that will be posted, and then we will all assemble at the various location. That's all of the update that I have at this time. Without further ado, I would like to say actually that it is indeed an honor to introduce one Mr. Austin, a water consultant and project manager. Mr. Austin has entered the water and wastewater treatment industry in 1994. He currently serves as a consultant to AIIA with the responsibility of managing the overall operation. As a water consultant, he provides consultative services and management for water treatment plant and and wastewater treatment plant. He specialized in identifying distinctive solutions for the operation and maintenance and existing facilities or new facilities to reduce or minimize projected costs. Additionally, his responsibility comprise the operation, maintenance, as well as administration and project construction management. He has extensive training and hands-on experience in both water, wastewater treatment plants, and life station infrastructures. He is married to Mrs. Austin, and they have 2 children. Mr. Austin, like myself, is an advocate, is an avid Junkanua who has worked with a number of Junkanoo groups, including the Junior Junkanoo program in South Andrews District. So he has dealt with Junkanoo within the family of violence. I see we have some things in common already. He enjoys traveling throughout the Bahamas, visiting historical sites, and listening to folk tales, especially to each community. Knowing all of that, I need to welcome him to Kid Island. The invitation has been extended, Mr. Austin. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Austin, our guest speaker for this afternoon.
Good evening to everyone, and I hope you can hear me. If you can, you just show me a thumbs up. I greatly would appreciate it. Yes. All right. I have spent a lot of time in Cat Island, by the way. Actually, I remember Cat Island quite vivid. Cat Island is one of my favorite places to visit.
Whoop, whoop. There you go.
I've been to every inhabited island in this country, and even places where there are no inhabitants. So I've been to, there's really few communities. I think there's 1 or 2 communities in the whole Bahamas I have not actually set foot in. But I've been in each one. Once there's persons there, I've been in those communities. I tend to go trekking in some interesting places. I tend to be the first one on site, and that makes me pretty an interesting thing. I get to see some things that most people don't see ahead of any sort of development coming to an island. So I get to see the whole gambit along with the developer, if there's a development going in place, or with the persons who are with in reference to the government and what they would like to do in a particular site. But that being said, I want your permission to share with you a document. I hope I can, let me just share with you. I'm going to share you some information, and it's going to be an interesting one. Then you can ask your questions afterwards. It's good to see all of you again. My family, they're behind me right now. You might see them, but they're rooting for me. Melvin, you know my wife. She's one of my greatest fans. So I have to be my best here tonight. Let me just share my screen with you, and I'm going to share with you a basic presentation I want to give you. And it's just a simple presentation. And here I want to share now. Okay, now you know the presentation. And there are some things that we're going to discuss. Now, I made the mistake report. None of you have done this before because you're good at language and words. But I put in one of my reports the word portable, P-O-R-T-A-B-L-E, instead of portable. Potable. So I wrote this 3-page report, and it had all of these portable in it. And one of my persons who I was submitting to, he put a line through it, and he kind of marked it up and says, no, don't do that again. And so when we talk about portable, we're not talking about portable, we're talking about portable water. And again, I know that all of you are on and you understand that, but I just have to say that because sometimes persons, they tend to get the wrong concept. And so portable water is not portable water. You can have water that is portable, but portable water is water that is consumable that you can drink. A reverse osmosis water is equal to RO water and not RO water. Now, I had a government official, a number of them, sign sanitary certificates for me in reference to put on it RO, ARROW water on the government official documents. I was quite embarrassed, but I kind of called them up and I talked with them on the side and I told them, no, I think the abbreviation is RO. If you want to put the whole, right, it's reverse osmosis. And it's kind of, so what we have to learn is what is, and you will see, and I'm going to give you the directives here, an overview is the water resources in the Bahamas, history of potable water and wastewater treatment facilities in the Bahamas, water treatment plants with different design and implementation strategies. Goal, identify some common issues and solutions, demonstrate the appropriate application of these technologies, provide opportunities to discuss each technology and how to incorporate each technology for local usage. And I know Cat Island has been dear on the hearts of so many of you, and it has some deficiencies in reference to water. Now, there is a legislative framework that governs water resources and the water in the country. And in the Bahamas, there are several legislative acts and government agencies responsible for the management and the conservation of water resources. Number one being the Water and Sewage Corporation. And the act is the Water and Sewage Corporation Act, which is incorporated in 1976. And then you have the Water and Sewage Corporation Sewage Requirements for Subdivisions and Developments, Exhibit B. Now, you would have seen that there was a recent case that was in the papers. But one of the requirements is that for subdivision is that you must on water, and there must be the ability, those things must be in place. And so there is a portion, actually there's an addendum to the act that covers that. And then they talk about the Outer Islands Utility Act, regulating water management in the Family Islands. As you all would know, the water in the Family Islands is priced different than the water in Nassau. There's a tier system for water, where the highest tier in Nassau, I think, is up to $30. That depends on how much, and the water is, the rate is in imperial gallons. In the Family Islands, the maximum, because of the Outer Islands Utility Act, the most you can charge is $9.40. And developers love that, by the way, and they take advantage of the government because of the franchises that they get. And so they tell the government, well, if you can provide us water, then it only has to be at this. We're only going to pay this amount, because they see that. Now, if they go out and produce their own water, then that water that they produce is only localized to them. And so there are opportunities for a developer to come into your community and produce water and then also sell it at his cost. That's happening right now at the Bimini Bay with Royal Bahamas, where they control the water franchise for Bimini. They produce the water and they sell it back to the government at a rate higher than the $9.40, by the way. Okay, so the government has to subsidize that, and that's why the present water rates in Nassau, you cover that subsidized rate. But the Water and Sewage Corporation, and I'm not anyway. It sounds like I'm bashing anyone or anything. That's not my goal here. But they have to go back and get subsidies from the government every year to kind of balance that out. Then you have the Ministry of Health, the MOH, which controls that, and the Health Act, and the Health Services Act that regulates and monitors, amongst other things, the supply of water to ensure that the public health and well-being are preserved. The Department of Environmental Health Services, which is the DEHS, and specifically the Environmental Monitoring and Risk Assessment Laboratory attached to the DEHS, which has joint responsibility for monitoring water quality to meet World Health Organization drinking, what they call potable water health standards. The WSC through the Drinking Water Quality Unit. Now, WSC has a lab that they try to monitor the water from the Water and Sewage Corporation in Nassau itself. I can't speak for the family island. It's pretty good. And so if you're in Nassau and you're getting that, if you have the ability to collect, attach yourself to the water, I would recommend that you do so. And I'll explain why I say that. Then the Ministry of Works and Utilities, the Building Control Act and Regulations, the Building Regulation Act 1971, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries and Local Government. Local government has something to say in the kind of quality water in a community, but the local governments have not yet put in place the necessary framework within themselves to say to the government, listen, these things what we need as a community. Again, that's something that I've not yet looked into deeper, but these entities have responsibilities. And if you want more of this information, the United States Marine Corps or Army Corps of Engineers has done a study on the Bahamas in reference to water resources. And all of this information is documented by them. They have a detailed information. Also, if you're looking for next source, Dr. Richard Kant, he was a consultant for the Water and Sewage Corporation. He's written a lot of books on the geological aspect of the country. And I think you can also reach out to John Boley. He's a hydrogeologist, but he's now, I think, works over the office of the Prime Minister. But these gentlemen have extensive knowledge about the geological and how each local government or each area in the country can tap into the resources that they have to get the best water quality. Then you have the Public Utilities Commission, the PUC, which was a Public Utilities Commission Act, which was established in 1993. Then you have the government itself. Now, then you have the Joint Water Quality and Pollution Control Unit, and the acronym is there. That consists of the Water and Sewage Corporation, DEHS, and the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. The Bahamas Environmental Science Technical Best Commission also has something to say about your water quality. Now, let's talk about the 700 islands and keys, white sand, beaches, crystal clear seawater, low-lying carbonated platform islands with little topographic relief. Lack of topographic means little surface water runoff, heavy reliance on fresh groundwater, floating on deeper salt water augmented by desalination. Now, fresh water is generally encountered at 3 to 5 feet or 0.9 to 1.5 meters below the ground level. Now, all of the islands in the Bahamas are not volcanic, they're coral-based, and so they shape like if I would have an example to show you, they look like a mushroom. And in the middle is this stem. So when you look at the islands of the Bahamas, and even Cat Island, even though Cat Island is shaped differently, but at the end of each one of these islands, or in the center of each one of these islands, is a stem that holds up the island. It's not, and then also to the same tidal plume that you would see on the east side of Cat Island. It's the same tidal plume if you would inject some dyes into the actual water. It's the same tidal plume that will come on the west side of Cat Island. All right, so there's no solid mass in the Bahamas, very few. I mean, and so the tidal wave, the water flows through these islands. It flows through, it naturally filters these to the islands. So, so your freshwater length is very shallow, and it's also based on the hydraulics from the ground. So if you lose that hydraulics of the ground, that means your freshwater length will go. That means if someone would come in and cut a canal, let's say someone come to Cat Island or come to the island and cut a canal, then you would lose the hydraulics that is there. And then you will get seawater intrusion, and then you will completely rely on either rain or desalination. Now, Grand Bahama has the hurricanes that it experiences, and due to the fact that it has a series of canals that persons decided that they were going to build there. But that has kind of affected their freshwater base, even though they have pine forest. But that in itself has affected the groundwater there. Now you can see the mean annual rainfall in the Bahamas, and if you travel through the Bahamas, like someone like Melvin, you would have seen the different vegetations. You would see what the scrub is, and then also so you'll know that there is a line, a median line that runs through from Abaco, the pine forest runs across Abaco onto the Nassau and then into South Andres, and then that's the South Andres, in the front part of South Andres, on the east side of South Andres, you don't see much of the pine forest because the line, it goes in the back of Creeks Hill and goes around and comes around. So you see the line, and it's part of the, I don't want to call the name, but it's a sea. It's a Saugas Sea, the Sagasta Sea. But it's all that is a part of the natural formation of the Bahamas and where we are as a people. So after Andres, there's no more pine. After Nassau, there's no more pine forest. And then you get Lucha, where you get the scrub, and you can see the difference in the rainfall. And as you pass Crooked Island onto Auckland, a portion of, if you have a chance, there's a little island called off of Crooked Island there, called Long Key. It's very historical, and you will see the way the vegetation changes to that which is scrub, what they call scrubland, to arid. It turns to like more desert vegetation, and then you go into the Great Inagua, and you will see some of that going on in Inagua. Now, again, if you have a chance to go to the Bahamas, you'll see these things. You'll see the differences in that, and then you see the way people live and how they do it. Now, you can always tell where people are from in the Bahamas based on, I used to be able to tell a while ago, based on their dentistry or the color of their teeth. I could tell what kind of water you were drinking, or where you got your water from, or how you were getting your water. You'll notice some people, they have most of their teeth will be grind down or they're being red in their teeth. It's not that they didn't have the right dentist or nothing like that. It's just that because they were consistently drinking water from a particular source. Now, some of you have this thing called, you notice when you go into the well and you pull out the water's red, they call it a ferrosis iron. Actually, what it really is a bacteria. And technically, what truly it is, it's actually the dust from the Sahara Desert. And what happens is when the hurricane comes through, it brings that dust over, and it over years and years, it's layered into the coral. So you'll have some areas where you won't have that participation because the hurricanes weren't that strong. And then if you go through the layers, you'll see it if you pull up the core samples. And so the dust from the Sahara comes over and it helps to form these islands. And that's just the natural geological makeup of the Bahamas. And so when you introduce that red surface, it oxidizes and becomes what they call an iron bacteria. And so you have this red water coming in your system. That's a result of that, all right? And we, as a nation, we have to see some value in it, but then we also have to know how to manage it and how to manage our natural resources. And this here, let me go back here so you can see. As you can see, this is a freshwater lens in an oceanic island similar to the Bahamas. You can see what's happening here. Now, what you don't see on this picture, and if you would see right here on this side of the island, and on this side of the island, normally there's a reef, okay? These reefs help to filter and keep that fresh water locking. So if you destroy your reef, you're going to destroy your freshwater lens. All right, and that's why Andres has the greatest, largest capacity of fresh water, because it has, I think it's the third largest reef in the world. And so that reef kind of locks in that fresh water, keeps it within there. So the reef has a part to play in everything. And so if you go out there and you allow someone to dredge into your reef, within that vicinity, you're going to lose some hydraulics and lose some of your fresh water. It's going to escape out. It's just going to blend in. All right, that's just naturally going to happen. But again, the geologic, those who study geology science, they will probably go into more depth than that than I am. I'm just basically touching the surface. And you can, if you want to, I can direct you to some books about the Bahamas. And then you can read those and get some information. And so here it is now, we're talking about the freshwater resources in the Bahamas. And you can see Cat Island has only, I mean, in terms of per person, has 4,000 each year. It can provide up to 4,393 gallons of fresh water to each individual in Cat Island. Now, if your population ever increases, then that number will go down per person. All right, and you can see in Andros, if they give you the maximum volume, and then they give you the water available per person there in Andros. Andros is the largest island in the country. It is comparable to that of Trinidad, but it doesn't have that kind of population. And you can see 7,000 people, and so you can see the water available is 27,000 imperial gallons. And if you just do the maths, you times it by 1.2 or times it by 0.6 or 996 to give you the. So you can see who has the greatest amount, who has the most to give. And so when you're talking about development and how you are development in Cat Island, you have the kind of, all of these have to come into play. And so as someone who's from Cat Island or part of Cat Island, these are the things you should be able to look at and speak to with intelligence. Now, what is reverse osmosis? What exactly is reverse osmosis? And I'm not going to get into the full details about the osmotics and all that. But what it really truly is, because man cannot design anything outside of himself. You are aware man does is based on his human biology or what he sees in nature. He has to then copy that and then bring that into his sphere and then refine it to get what he wants. He can never build anything outside of that. And so what osmotic flow is simple. When you drink water, it goes to your kidneys and to your liver, and there's a natural filtration in your body that deals with that osmotic. And at the end of the day, whatever comes out, you urinate out. You can either through sweat to your sweat glands, or you pass through as urine. And that's a simple way to say something is an osmotic pressure. What reverse osmosis is this: it's taking back that sweat, taking back in that the salt, taking back in that urine, and pushing it back through your body in a reverse fashion. That's the simplest way I can tell you. There is a more detailed way if you want to, if you get a chance, I'll explain all that, how it happens. But it has to happen. If that is going to happen, it's done by gravity, and there's 9.86 gravity coming against your body. So that osmotic pressure is there already. That means whatever pressure you do, you have to kind of overcome 9.86 of gravity to then reverse that osmotic flow. And so, the human body can't take that. So eventually we will die. But what they have come up with is they said, okay, if we put this into what they call a vessel, this is a vessel, and they put these membranes in this vessel, and they force water to it, you can create that. Now, this technology was originally done in MIT. I hate it, I shouldn't use it, by a group of young MIT engineers, and the government subsidizes them, and they were able to come up with this technology, and they were able to build the first one of these in California, and then eventually the US government used it in a lot of places where they claimed they made a lot of money off the technology, and the three initial players in there made well. And so they came through the Caribbean selling this technology, and the Caribbean was a test ground for the reverse osmosis process. And eventually it got to the place now where it started off as it was like $200, 1,000 gallons of water. Now you can amount of water in terms of efficiencies. You can make the same amount of water for less than $5 or $10 a 1,000 gallons. So when you go to Aquapure and you buy a 5-gallon of water, what you're paying Aquapure for, and I'm not hitting Aquapure and I'm using them, or any bottled water company, you're just paying them for the bottle. The cost to make that water is nothing. You're only paying for the bottle and the labor and that which entails putting it in that package. But the cost of water, if you are in terms of the scale, it's nothing in terms of energy because the efficiencies are now so great they can do that. You have, and I hope I'm not going over. If I'm going over, just let me know. I can stop and then and you can just jump in. Reverse osmosis is one of the oldest and most popular separation technologies used mainly for the purification of water. The process was mainly adopted for desalination of seawater, and I can send this to you if you want to. And there are, and I show you, this is a simple design of that process. As you can see right here, either you use pressure, some sort of pressure in this capacity. This is a little under the zinc unit right here. So what they use is like a little air pressure. It pushes it through this filter, and you can see how it's made. It goes through, the water comes in, it goes into these little membranes, and then there's a little faucet right here where you supply the water. And then there's something called the reject, and the reject is the brine, all right, or the base of it. This here is a typical reverse osmosis process. You're using seawater, then there's pre-treatment, and then you have a high pressure pump, and then which is a supply pump, and then you have an energy recovery system where you recover the amount of energy you put in to make the water, and then you see there's a recovery membranes, and then they say the zinc, or you can put it in the permeate. Anything that comes off a membrane is not called potable water, by the way. It's called permeate. It isn't potable until you make it suitable for someone to drink. Then I mean suitable meaning either put it through a UV process or add chlorine to the water to make sure that the thing about membranes, now, one thing you need to understand, bacteria are not, a bacteria cannot be killed or stopped by a membrane process. I don't care how much pressure you put on that. Bacteria are resilient. What you have to do is treat that water to take out the bacteria, all right? And so you have the water demand there. And so it has to be some sort of pressure, as we talked about before, to make that happen. And see here, you can see different types of, this is the first one here is in a little, it's very simple. Most of the time this uses like the tap water or the water of your yard, depending on the TDS of the water. And then this there is a little small RO unit here. And these are scale units. And this one here is probably a 25,000. And you can see the high pressure pump right here. And then this is here is about a 60 to 100,000. And then these are these scales. Now, the government produces, let me give you a little history here. The government produces about 30 million US or imperial gallons of water every day in various places throughout the country for persons. Now, if you look at the Grand Bahama Power Utilities, and if you want to look at them, the Grand Bahama Power Utilities produces 10 million gallons of water. And if they produce it, they have about 40 employees. The government produces 30 million gallons of water, 35 million or something close to that number, but they have 440 something employees. So if you look at the scale, that it doesn't add up. That's not efficient. The efficiencies are not there, but then you have to think of the fact that some of these places are remote. They do need 1 or 2 man operations in remote locations, but where they can reduce the scale in terms of the scaling, they can also reduce the cost. Again, I'm not here to make a judgment on the government. I do work as a consultant for the government. I did it a number of times, and it doesn't matter whose government, they call me in and I do talk with them. Now, here's the types of reverse osmosis systems. You have a tap water system, what you call an under the zinc unit, where you just put something underneath the zinc. You treat that water coming in. It can be the water from the government, or it can be the water in your yard. Now, I'm not a proponent of water in your yard, especially if you live in a communal yard where other people are living, because persons tend not to have great. I'm not saying that that's happening in your yard, by the way, but people tend not to be hygienic. They tend to dump things in the yard, and then they also their cesspit, the overflow, and then the soak away not properly sealed, or where you're taking your water from. If there's no well there to put that water below where you're taking your water from, what you're doing, in fact, is taking that same water in. You don't even realize it. Remember now, we talked about the hydraulic effects of it. It's still there. It doesn't go anywhere. And so you'll notice that people on some islands, you notice they tend to have these skin diseases where they have like bumps coming over their skins and rashes. You have to be very careful now, if you're living far away from someone, that's a different, or if you're living on a hill and you're taking water from that capacity here. But then if you're living down in the valley and other people are around you, I would cautious you. I really tell you, don't get that water tested and be very careful, because there could be some, and I use this term, fecal or E. coli matter in that water that you are unaware of. All right, and so we have a nanofiltration system, we have ultrafiltration system, which is nanofiltration is clean up something before. Then you have a brackish water system. Some people got a huge brackish water, like the pine forest areas, they're brackish, but the problem with brackish water is inconsistent. Now, seawater systems are consistent. If I was in Cat Island and if I wanted to do a large scale unit, I'll put in a seawater system. Okay. And so that's what you want to do, or the seawater system. And then you have the wastewater portion of it that is very critical to what you do. You have the conventional activated sludge reactors, which is your cesspit tanks. They have extended aeration system, which is a glorified cesspit. The only thing is you introducing oxygen to it. The sequence batch reactor, meaning, or sequential batch reactor, meaning. Now, what a wastewater plant does is it takes the bacteria that you naturally excrete from your body, it keeps that alive, and it uses that to then processes the water, and then it separates it in sludge, and then it has a point where it drains off the good, there's a clear water in that, and then they have membrane bioreactor. Now, what you need to know too about wastewater plants and even a cesspit system, if it smells, it ain't working. If you go by anything that says there's a wastewater plant and you could smell that, you remain working. Because naturally, that bacteria does not, there's some odor around it if you go close enough to it, but it shouldn't be where the odor is pungent. If it's pungent, that's not working. That's someone deciding just to inject some sewer in the ground and that you find yourself around. A real wastewater plant works. The technology, they've developed that technology, the sequence batch reactors, these technologies have been around for years. The membrane bioreactor just has come around and is used a lot in golf courses because golf courses need that water to re-irrigate. And I know there was a time in Cat Island, the PGA was about to build a course there. And so this membrane bioreactor system, they were going to use that. Now they needed to capture as much as the sewer from Cat Island as possible. I wondered how they were going to do that because your communities are so far spread. So they still would have to augment that irrigating of their golf course with desalinating water. And so that by saying that, I'm going to stop sharing and I can go on, but I don't want to at this point in time. But if you have any questions, I can turn it back to the chairman and then he can take it over from here.
Yeah, I was so much enjoying that. I cannot wait till I get the recording of this. It's extremely powerful, valuable information that I needed. and my local government team needs here on this island. I know why you cut it short. You see, I wasn't interrupted, but and you just was getting into the good part of it. You made mention of PGA and what's not and all this good stuff. There appears to be voices of interest who wants to invest in this lovely island of Kid Island, and
Yeah.
valuable information like that. We would need to guide us as relates to making sure that um, the necessary things that they're proposing, they're gonna go in line with, you know,
Yes, yes,
because
yes,
for,
yes.
for, for projects of big magnitude, um, 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 as relates to water, that has to become a topic, and it has to be factored in, you know. So I am enjoying it. You said something about canals. Um, I what my question would be as it relates to what about harbors and marinas? Is does the same thing relate, or just the canals you're talking about?
Anything, I think anything that cuts into the land, the natural land, you have to get your best. And those people get denied. The environmental engineers, allow them to speak. They can tell you more than I can tell you in reference to marinas. And there's an act that deals with marinas. And then also there's something that deals with the pollution from marinas. And you know, the kind of like familiarize yourself with those things as a community, especially people in Cat Island. Because if you are going to be on the premises of growth, you need to then bring yourself in line with what the information is there. There's a lot of information out there. Get someone from the best commission to walk you through that whole process. For instance, you know, if someone comes in, and they tend to do this a lot, they come in and then they clear the whole land. But there are certain birds that cannot fly without a tree. And you shouldn't just clear the land. You should leave a causeway of trees in there so the birds can go from tree to tree. Because there's some birds naturally who can't fly that long distance. And you'll notice that when they fly, they go down on the ground and they fly low and then they come back up. Those birds are different. The birds are indigenous to Cat Island. There's certain fauna there that you need to be able to. You see, but if you allow someone to tear into your freshwater land, because there's a fauna that grows in Cat Island that is not in South Island, you're going to lose that. There's a lily that because it needs that soil mixture. Why? Because Cat Island, after Cat Island is the right. That's Africa next. When you come off the east coast of Cat Island, the next closest place to you is Basil. So when that Sahara dust comes into your facility and it mixes with your ground and the coral reef, it produces a certain type of pH on the ground, and it produces a certain type of water that only a certain type of plant will grow in that. And so the people in South Island will never see that kind of fauna. Because why? They're on the other side of the scale. Now, there's a certain fauna that goes there that you would not see yourself because they're coming after the fact. But then you need to be, as a people, have to decide what you want and then draw the line. If you don't draw the line, then now you're the balance boat. You need a marina because you need to capture the dollars that are passing you. But if that's going to be the place where you capture the dollars, then make sure that when you capture that, it's put back into education, that people are educated to the fact of why we did this. And the reason we did this is because we knew that we can't allow those dollars to travel past us. And I know you were pretty much smart person, you were much smarter than I would be, but you would know that there are people who come down from the East Coast and they travel from marina to marina and they go straight to make marina and they tell these blogs
Right.
who were and how they won, what marina they were at, and how they were received. And so you might have to be saying, know something, how do I capture that kind of people? And that's free advertisement, by the way. All right. For Cat Island itself. All right. I hope I answered the question.
Good, good. Yeah. I'm loving it. And you're right as it relates to those boulders and what's not. We've been having quite a few for the past 2, 3 minutes. I talk about constant and steady, which is good
Yeah.
for the island and economical boost and what's not. You talk about drought and when I look at agriculture within this district, is kind of now getting back into the hearts and mind. I believe I can blame it on the pandemic, and where you have to rely on a boat that comes once a week for producing all that stuff. So it made Cat Islanders aware that hey, we have to go back to the soil. But now the drought, you know, what advice can you give? And I sure know this recording there will be some farmers that can tune in. We have one of the biggest farmer there is Melvin. That is chiming in. So I sure know he want to hear this information as well. He want to know how his bananas can be more more bigger. But how can we help as relates to maybe irrigational system or what have you when it comes to this drought? Because a lot of farmers, um, um, some years back, this year we have had some good rain, but constantly for about 2, 3 years straight, we have had somewhat of a drought, and farmers in Kid Island who love to do the watermelon and all these good stuff were unsuccessful, and they lost tremendously preparing and doing everything else and not producing.
I think you have to look at it from I'm not an agricultural expert, so I'm going to be careful here. You have to look at what if you island has always been a place where it has history. And so there is a history that people would have studied and done that made Cat Island great. One of the things you might have to go back to is putting systems in your home, and then in rainwater catchment. All right. And then when you work in the field, if you're in the field, then you have to learn how to capture when it does rain, how to capture this water. And you might have to buy some barrels and open barrels. And there are things that keeps you don't have to worry about the mosquitoes, because there are things that can keep mosquitoes out of the water. But you might have to invest in doing simple things like that. And that will help the farmer in times of the drought. You see, because you forgetting when it does rain, it rains. And so you have to learn how to capture that when the time comes. And then let's look at what the old people used to do. Study what they used to do. They used to they'll make these little, when they made rock holes were important. And they would make sure that they hem those things in. When they say hem them in, they'll build little things around them so that they'll know that if this rock hole has water in it, the water will run this way. And so what they'll do is plant their crops so that when that water starts to run, it will then, the watermelons in that vicinity will then catch with the water that they need. And so these simple little things that they did, don't lose them, capture them. And then also look at where they strategically put their wells. Look at where the wells are in the community. Don't let the wells go down. When people, and I know people in South Islanders have lost their wells. And then when you have a chance, you keep your well. Don't let the well go. Endorse the well. Find a way to incorporate it in. Now, I understand you were going to probably be getting desalination water pretty soon and all that. But see, if you allow that mindset to creep in, you're going to forget some things that keep you. You need to keep the things that keep you, not the things that make you life easy, the things that keep you when life ain't easy. And I'm going to use this term. You don't see danger until you realize it. I don't know if that's a true statement.
Right. Yes. Yes. I think that
I don't know if that's a true statement, but someone can correct me.
You're right. We have somewhat lost all of those simple stuff that our forefathers and grandparents did, and
Yes.
kept things going.
Yes. And so Yeah.
Yeah, in Newbite alone, we had about 6 public wells. Now, my duty is just to upkeep of one out of that 6, just one remains. So, I'll definitely take that in consideration. Um, I will give way for others to ask some questions quickly, and then we can wind down. Any questions, concerns, anyone?
Well, that was very impressive presentation. I think it was so good. Nobody knows what to say.
I think Ms. Brown has a question.
Yes, Mr. Austin, I have a question with regard to harvesting of the rainwater. If you wish to use that, just say in your household or or if you want to use it for agricultural purposes, what sort of treatment should you use?
Well, okay, let me talk about this, because I have to talk about this real simple thing. The water in Cat Island and most of the water in that portion of the Bahamas is high in fluoride. I mean, excessive amount of fluoride. It's naturally coming out of the ground in the Bahamas. And so you would notice that some people had problems with their teeth. While fluoride is good now, don't think fluoride is bad. But too much fluoride over a period of time will decay your teeth. And so what you might have to do, like with the rainwater, and if you have a well or something, it's just get a little, what they call a little reverse osmosis little system under the zinc unit. And it kind of clean up that water a bit so that you can kind of use it to drink. Now, if you're just using it for irrigation, that's straightforward. You can just put it on the plant. I mean, because the plants love it. You'll notice that the certain plants in the Bahamas love that water. If you look at it, and every now and then you notice that you won't. I think Melvin can probably help me with this. But the pineapple that grows in Andros, especially in the scrubland of Andros, is totally different than the pineapple that grows in Newport. And the pineapple that grows in Cat Island is completely different than the pineapple that you would get in Anchorage.
You bet that right.
Why? But it might be smaller.
Why?
Somehow
Because everything is better in Cat Island.
I heard that part. Melvin, go ahead.
Only some areas of Cat Island you get that, and South Cat Island, I think, is in Port Howe. You get larger pineapples. I know I don't get it down by me. They don't come so big, and I have a feeling it's because of the water, like you say, too much
Fluoride
in the water. I've been watching it. And sometimes some other plants don't thrive so quickly. My guavas never thrive in that. I don't as much of water as I put on them. So maybe I need something to balance that. I'm still thinking I need someone who is an expert who can inform me of how can I do that in order to bring certain things forward. Same thing with citrus. They're slow in coming, and but you have to just be constantly putting seaweed and fertilizer or bad dust so that they can so the soil could be enriched. So sometimes and when you water it, of course, they might bring a balance with whatever you put in the soil. There's some things that we have to understand. Maybe we need an extension officer from agriculture to let us know exactly what to do. Yeah. But I noticed the matter with putting the water and the RO system, because I have one. I have a small one. The water quality is so much better. Although it's filtered into a bigger tank on the outside, it's further filtered under the kitchen sink, and I can drink that water that's filtered, which is out of an RO system, a small RO system, and even the ice cubes are just crystal clear. and there's no odor or tart on the that's left over after you would have well, when you're using the water or the ice.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. Sean, boy, look like Mr. Austin, we'll have to you know, get you back to part two. This gotta go in segments now. You gotta do segments of this. I'm loving it. But I am mindful and cautious of time and everybody time. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for that awesome presentation. A lot of knowledge, a lot of knowledge. I'm gonna get the recording of this afternoon's meeting, and I have to share that with my wonderful local government practitioners, so we all can suck up that knowledge and act on it. You know, so I want to thank you once again on behalf of the Satellite Club here. Special thanks. We will be calling on you to come back again. You know, part two. All right. Fellow Rotarians, without further ado, we now say our four-way test together. As Rotarians, of the things we think, say, or do.
Say or do.
Is it the truth?
truth?
Is it
Is it
fair to
fair
all
to all
concerned?
All concerned.
Will it
Will
build
it
goodwill and better
build
friendship?
friendship?
Will it be
Will it
beneficial
be
to all concerned?
all?
And most of all, will it be
Really
fun?
fun.
Whoop. That's what I'm talking about. So at this time, I would like each and every one of you to raise your glass with me as give a toast to Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
Rotary around the world.
Awesome, awesome. I know a lot of you have other obligations and what's not. So without further ado,